Welcome back, gang, to Strangeville, to the channel, to everything. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We got a good one for you today, gang. We did a video a couple of videos ago. We did a Richard Corben. We did Richard Corben's Hellboy, The Crooked Man. Fantastic art. I did briefly mention this comic, the only comic that I own, shockingly, the only comic I own from Richard Corben is this anthology called Twisted Tales that is put together by, where the fuck are the credits? Bruce Jones, and then Richard Corben does the art for this first. There's 3 stories in this book. Richard Corben does the art for the first one, and actually doesn't color himself. Steve Oliff colors him in this book. Richard Corben, you gotta cover Richard Corben, right? You're gonna do a comic book channel, you gotta cover Richard Corben. Richard Corben's one of the best artists to ever grace comic books with his mastery, but he's also a bit of he was a mystery for years, because for decades even, because of his color process. This is him here coloring the cover of this, and if I can get in there, he just has this way of like smooth and this smooth airbrush process that he was doing in the 1970s that just wasn't possible with normal comic book coloring. Now tell me, why does he go by Jocko here, guys? Because this is clearly Richard Corben's art, but it's signed Jocko. I don't understand. J-O-C-O. I'm not hip to that. If you're hip to that, explain it to me in the comments below, because you guys all know way more about comic books than I do. So jump in and let us know what that's all about. He doesn't do the interior coloring, but Steve Oliff does a pretty good job. And what a treat this little story is. We're going to get into that, I guess, right now. Yeah, we love our Richard Corben. I'm gonna acquire a lot more Richard Corben as time goes on. I think Richard Corben even did in fact, I know he did an Aliens book for Dark Horse. I gotta track that down and get a copy of that. That's fucking awesome. I can't believe, I'm shocked by how little Richard Corben I have in the collection. So not only does this guy have this mysterious color process that we only figure out way later on in his career, and you guys can explain this to me better than I can explain it to you, but he had access to a professional printer, and he was able to color onto, he was able to actually airbrush onto the plates of the printer. So you get like a 4-color process or whatever. You have 4 plates or 6 colors. You have a 6-color process. You have 6 plates. He had developed his own way of knowing how the plates were going to drop and the colors were going to mix, and with the line art and everything, he was able to actually airbrush onto the plates and create this insane color process that couldn't be duplicated till digital printing, basically. And that remained a mystery for many, many years. He never really divulged that, or if he did divulge that to people, they didn't spill the beans. And if they did, maybe people didn't understand it. Like I said, y'all know better than fucking I do about this shit. So you drop down in the comments and educate us on the color process of Richard Corben. But not only did Richard Corben have this crazy color process, but he often would, he's famous for doing references. And by references, I mean he would take photographs, and then he would use those photographs as reference, maybe lightbox and trace over them, maybe just use them as visual reference. But he was meticulous with his reference photos. And so he was able to get these really, sometimes realistic faces, and sometimes he would warp them and make them all cartoony, and he would turn it into, like, this is a very cartoony cover here. He would somehow make this, crazy style that's unmistakably Richard Corben. And yet, in this particular story, Infected, he does something even cooler, I think. This is all purely speculation based just on looking at this book. This is what I think he did. And if you disagree, or if you know the backstory, if this is a famous backstory, if this is a famous thing that Richard Corben did, and I'm just ignorant to it, feel free, again, drop in the comments and educate us and let us know what this is all about. But I'm going to read this whole thing because it's pretty short. It's only a few pages long. But when Bruce Jones does great storytelling here, but you can tell this first page here that's illustrated. Right? That's a totally illustrated page. Okay? But as we move through the story of Infected, you start to notice something. You start to notice that looks like a photograph that's been drawn on top of, doesn't it? That panel. That looks like a photograph of a car that's been traced on top of, doesn't it? And as we move through, we have these clearly illustrated panels, and then we start to get these panels. Look at these faces. These Richard Corben faces. I was marking out over the faces in Hellboy Crooked Man. If you haven't watched that video, track it down on the channel. It's only a few videos ago, and watch that because he draws some wicked faces. But again, when it comes to the car, it looks like that car. Looks like that car is being traced over. That doesn't look like, that's a perfect car, right? That's the perfect proportions for a car. And he picks up this girl, and we'll read through this. But look at this panel with the car there. As we get further and further into the story, you start to see things, right? You start to notice that maybe these are photographs of actual people. Maybe that's a photograph that's been traced over, right? Some of it looks like it is, some of it looks like it isn't. Here's my theory, gang. My theory is that Richard Corben went out to some seaside cabin with a lady friend of his and took pictures for this story, reference pictures for this story, while he's like on vacation or whatever, hanging out with this chick, and this is probably his car or her car, and he's taking photographs while he's out there for this little piece he's about to do. And I think that's fucking awesome. I think that's killer. But we're going to read through it. It's got really great, again, Bruce Jones, really great writing. So I'm going to read this to you because this is a fun story. I guess before I get into the reading of it, let's do our patron shout out, right? You can join the Strangeville Patreon for only $3 a month, and you gain access to 20 years of comics, novels, and feature films from me, Kevin Strange. You get comic books like Space Worms, Count Kefula, aka Dracula in Strangeville. It just came out in October. Brand new comic there. You get Death to Strangeville, which is my comic book retelling of the history of Strangeville, how it all started, the 20 years of crazy comics, novels, movies, conventions, film festivals, all the crazy stuff that I go out and do as a profession. I put it kind of in a meta comic book there with Death to Strangeville. You got your stoner comics like Wizard of Ganj, Too Many Dabs, in addition to the entire catalog of Kevin Strange Bizarro fiction. Remember the Bizarro Wars? If you don't, good. I'm glad you weren't there. Turning the page. We don't talk about the Bizarro Wars anymore. I actually mention it all the time because it was an extremely traumatic period of my life. Look up the Bizarro Wars. You'll be surprised how juicy that story is. But we're going to give a shout to all the current patrons. And if you want to be shouted out in the shout out section of my videos, $3 a month. Not only do you get access to all that fantastic Strangeville entertainment, but you also get tossed up onto the shout list. So let's give our patrons and channel members a shout here. We got Savage Splendor, Dark Lord Carrion, 666 Yoshi, Alien on LSD, Joseph Stark, Loudpack Productions, Dave Baxter, Jason German, Mutant Minds, Joshua Wise, Jeremy Maddox, Nirvana, Andrew Varble, and our newest patron as of the recording of this video, Darren Oni. Thank you guys for all your support. If you want to see your name up on the bulletin board, become a patron today. Link in the description. Let's get into Richard Corben, Twisted Tales, Bruce Jones, the story Infected. The natives called them Venito de Fuego, Firewind, south of Arroyo Grande. They were known as Santana, Diablo, or worse, worst commonly, the Santa Ana. Whatever you called them, they blew incessantly, moaning through the canyons, gusting across the plains. Mix them with the ions in the air, and they caused, for some unfortunates, migraines. You are one of the unfortunates. Nuts. Your name is Oscar Phelps. Your head hurts. Your feet hurt. Your back hurts. You're sick of this crummy job, this crummy wind. You turn from the cool frothing surf, walk to the oven of your car. A brownish lump scuttles past your shoe. Lucky little crab. He goes back to the teeming sea. You go back to the emptiness of your job. All right, gang. Here we go. We're Oscar in this story in our crummy little job. Let's go. Let's get into it. But somebody, as the saying goes, has to do it. You volunteered because you thought it would be better than pushing that crummy pencil behind that crummy desk in crummy Santa Mira. Maybe you were right. At least you got out in the air this way. Even if the air was blowing you all over the highway. Well, no sense bitching about that now. The headache is bad enough already. It's almost 4 o'clock. You have 2 more stops to make before you can pop a cold top, lay in a cool tub, and flip through this month's Playboy. You wince back the pain in your skull, heave a weary sigh, and nose the car south toward Los Olivios. You check the clipboard on the seat beside you. Santos family. Wetbacks, no doubt. Oh, God, here we go again. An hour later, you're edging into a crude driveway littered with broken toys and faded milk cartons. You gaze up at the dilapidated, paint-peeling one-room shack. You can already guess at its contents. Part of its contents stands silently among the rusted bicycle frames and skittering garbage, dark, wide, almond-eyed, watching you quietly, tattered rag dolls clutched in their hands. Something darts from the shadows. Beneath the house, something brown and mangy and loud. A length of rope checks its teeth from sinking into your ankles. The Santos family consists of one harried mother in her late 30s, 5 or 6 screaming, brown-skinned children, a yapping mockery of a canine, and no husband. Mrs. Santos is on welfare forever. Can you imagine what's going to happen to this guy? You know, Bruce Jones and Richard Corben are, of course, you know, as lefty lunatic liberals as you could possibly get in the 60s and 70s. Whenever this was made, this was 82. So imagine, you know, we got this white racist guy who's looking down on these minorities. Now we did a video, a couple videos back on the Creech where I talked about the white savior complex. Well, this is the white savior complex from the point of view of the writer and the illustrator, but of course white man bad in this story, because of course this is liberal arts. You have to be you have to paint these like ridiculous caricatures of racist whites, and then do you think that the outcome of this tale is going to be good for our white protagonist here, or do you think it's going to go very, very badly for him? Let's keep going and find out, gang. Cheers. Mrs. Santos, my name is Oscar Phelps. I'm from the National Credit Collection Agency. What you want? According to our records, Miss Santos, you were delinquent in payment for the last 6. I told you money on the phone. We got no money. You go away. Leave us alone. It's always the same. The names may differ, the locations alter slightly, but the result is the same. Mrs. Santos, my company has been extremely lenient in your case, and what you want to do is you come get blood from a tulip. We got no money, comprehend? We busted! The baby in her arms begins to scream, probably from hunger. It adds its own hideous pain to the already burgeoning agony pounding in your head. You're going to lose another one. Mrs. Santos, please, Why don't you go try raising 6 kids on food stamps somewhere, mister? Why don't you try it? The ceaseless wind whips at your head. The woman's twisted lips form an endless stream of disconnected ravings. Child's wail rises higher than the screaming Santa Ana, tearing at the pit of your guts, tearing. Shut up! Takes off and pukes. Outside of his car, onto his car. You try to make it to the steering wheel, to the soft, foaming waters of the beach, the clean, salty air of the ocean far away, but the tearing in your guts won't let you. You make it only to the rusted back fender before everything breaks loose. You drag a shaking claw across your mouth and wipe away the sour-smelling bile. The howling wind seems to shriek with mocking laughter as you plunge into the sanctity of the front seat and peel away from the horror behind you. A half hour later, things are a bit better. The raving headache is calmed to a dull pounding. The uncontrollable shaking has slackened enough to allow you jamming a cigarette between your pale lips. There's one more name on your clipboard list. Maria Delgado. Maria Delgado. But you're not even considering checking on it. You need a drink. You need a lot of drinks. Bad. It's then that you see her for the first time. Walking all alone there on the hot, empty desert highway. Your throat is suddenly very dry. But not from the hot, incessant wind. From something else. You slow the car. Hi there. Hot day for walking. She hardly notices you. Her pale blue eyes are distant, almost cloudy. A warning bell sounds in your brain. But you're weary of the day. You could use a diversion. This looks worth pursuing. You need a ride? I'm going clear to Compton. She turns. Then in your chest catches. You've never seen anything so lovely. She strides gracefully to the window, bends down, pale breasts straining against the thin fabric of her dress. Compton? Yeah, I'd like a ride. My name's Oscar Phelps. I'm Marie Delgado. I live just down the road. Marie Delgado! The girl on your list. But should you tell her who you are? It might put her off. Then again, it might prove very convenient. After all, it does give you a certain sense of power. Hot day. Yes. This is very coincidental. I was going to call on you anyway. I'm from the National Credit Collection Agency. Who? According to our records, you're delinquent in your payments, Miss Delgado. Mrs. Delgado. It's Miss Delgado, and I've had some severe hardships of late, some severe personal problems. So young, so lovely, so unmarried. Play it cool, Phelps. You might have something here. Perhaps you'd like to talk about them. Oh, no, it's personal. I couldn't. Couldn't you give me some more time? I'd be so grateful. So grateful. It's the word you've been waiting to hear. Well, perhaps we could arrange something. You say your house is nearby? Just down the road, but there's something you should know. I've had... She whispers the word. She whispers the word in your ear shyly. You laugh. Adolescent memories of itching pain flaring in your mind. It's been terrible. I'm so ashamed. Ha! Heck, that's nothing to get upset about. Lots of folks have been through that. Have they? Poor kid. She doesn't even know how to take care of herself. Lord, these ignorant small-town folks. You said that you had them. You got rid of them, I take it. They're gone for now, but they always come back. I'm so embarrassed. Here's where I live, mister.
Nice little place. Maybe I ought to come in for a while.
Come in, but I told you I had...
Look, honey, Oscar Phelps isn't going to be a little bothered by a little thing like that. Come on now, how about a nice cold drink, huh? Your foot kicks into a rubber toy on the front lawn. How many kids you got, Miss Delgado?
Several, I'm afraid. They're down at the beach right now.
The house is cool and still after the driving wind. You step inside. The odor assails your nostrils. That smell like seaweed.
It's the children. They fill the house with it. I can't even have visitors anymore since the children.
She brings you a cool drink. After a while, the smell doesn't seem so bad, but the pounding of your heart is worse than ever. She's driving you mad. Come here, Murray.
No, please, didn't you hear me? I told you what I had.
I don't care about that, you silly fool. Come here. Her skin is like a heated satin beneath your fingers. Her hair like golden silk. Her lips. Her lips.
Oh,
Marie. The skimpy dress comes away from her, lush form like faded petals. You lift her in your arms, carry her through the shadowed house into the bedroom.
You've got to leave before dark, before the children come back. Promise me.
I promise. The wind buffets the frail house like a giant's hand, stifling our moans of pain, of pleasure. And the afternoon wears on and on. It's dark when you awaken. The girl slumbers quietly beside you. The wind has finally died down a bit. You arise, searching for the bathroom. You start across the shadowed floor, showing giggling in the darkness. Something giggles in the darkness, scuttles past your legs. The children have returned from the beach. Little pests. Were they watching you? You find the bathroom door, step inside. Something giggles by the sink. You reach out for the switch but can't find it. No matter. You grasp for the faucet. A searing pain fills your hand. What the? You back into the switch accidentally. Light flares in the bathroom into brilliance. The hideous thing is perched on the lip of the sink, studying you with cruel little eyes. Its pincher claws are red. Jesus! That's the little thing up on the sink. That's when you hold up your hand. Ah! You scream insanely and rush back down the hall. The hall's filled with scuttling noises, giggling. A terrible pain lances up your leg. You fall, screeching, writhing. Marie! Something wet and reeking with seaweed smell lands on your back, pinning you. Something else clambers crab-like across your flailing arm. Impossible pain rockets through your shoulders. Marie! You find the bedroom at last. She's standing there tall, pale and beautiful. One of the hideous crab children clutched to her bosom, suckling. It's the last thing you see before the film of red clouds your eyes forever.
I told you to go. I told you. I told you what I had, mister. I told you.
And that's it. He's now a meal, or a racist white man is now a meal for these crab monsters. Rightly deserved, right, gang? Rightly deserved. How dare he be white and racist at the same time? Gotta get rid of him. Richard Corben, brilliant. Love this book. I love this story. Love his art, especially the cover. That's a super cool little short story, and a little taste, a little more of Richard Corben. I gotta get some more Richard Corben, gang. In fact, if you've got some Richard Corben burning up your collection, you got some dupes, some doubles in your long boxes, feel free, and you want to see them featured on the channel, feel free to send them my way to Kevin Strange, P.O. Box number 5, Cottage Hills, Illinois, 62018. And listen, gang, I really appreciate you sticking it through to the end of the video here. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. If you are not subscribed, most people, well, 40-50% of the people who watch these videos just get served to your homepage. You're not actually subscribed. We are almost to 1,000 subscribers. There's like 70. We got like 70 subscribers to go. That's nothing. Like 70 subscribers to go to hit that 1,000 subscriber mark, which fully monetizes the channel, helps bring in me an income, costs you nothing. And as a bonus, I'm going to make Kevin Strange's Space Worms, my 164-page graphic novel, free on the Patreon. Link in the description. That will be free for a month as soon as we hit that 1,000 subscribers. So hit that subscribe button, gang. And if you're not already, and help us hit that glorious 1,000 subscriber mark. If you are a creator yourself and you would like to see your work featured on the channel, you can do like Ron Thewin did, and you can toss your own books in the mail to Kevin Strange, P.O. Box number 5, Cottage Hills, Illinois 62018. And Ron sent us through a grip of his little mini comics here called Dilligaf. I don't know what Dilligaf means. Dilligaf. Give a fuck. Something. I give a fuck. I don't know. I don't know if I'm supposed to know. He's got several. It's like two little short stories per mini comic, and he's got game. Ron Thewin's awesome. So glad he sent this through. We're going to do a highlight episode on his books here very shortly. And if you would like to have your rad comics featured on the channel, send them along. Kevin Strange, P.O. Box number 5, Cottage Hills, Illinois 62018. That's going to do it for us today, gang. Really appreciate you watching the Richard Corben video, and I hope you join us in the next video. Remember to stay strange.